The 2024 Suzuki Swift is a pretty-looking little car that reminds me of the original Mini, the ones that were made in the 60s. Ah, the days of yonder, when injuries and death from motor vehicle accidents reached an all-time high. So much so that insurance companies in the USA decided to pool their resources and create the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety to help reduce this trend. Ta-da! So today we have regional new car assessment programs, ANCAPs, and two of them from developed markets gave the Swift low vehicle safety ratings. Euro NCAP awarded it 3 stars, but the Australasian ANCAP, awarded it only 1 star. Emerging markets like India, Africa, and Latin America are likely going to get the pretty little 1-star killer. So let's take a closer look at that safety rating. The ANCAP crash-tested Swift was well-specced with dual frontal, side chest protecting, and side head protecting airbags, which is standard on all models in Australasia. Active safety features include AEB autonomous emergency braking, car-to-car, vulnerable road user, and junction assist, as well as a lane support system with lane keep assist, LKA, lane departure warning, LDW, and emergency lane keeping, ELK, and a speed assist system, SAS, all of which are standard. Suzuki must be commended for including 6 airbags as standard in some emerging markets too, but bragging about including electronic stability control, ESC, and other features that are legal must-haves in developed markets and excluding active safety features like AEB leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. In the frontal offset, MPDB test, protection of the chest was weak for the driver. Structures in the dashboard were a potential source of injury for the driver and front passenger, and protection of the upper legs was rated marginal. The driver's lower legs were also rated as marginal, with protection of the driver's feet rated poor based on rearward pedal movement. For child occupants, dummy readings for the 10-year dummy indicated protection of the neck was weak and chest was marginal. For the 6-year dummy, protection of the head and neck was poor. In the full-width frontal test, protection for the chest of the rear passenger was assessed as poor due to chest compression exceeding injury limits. In the side impact test, for the 10-year dummy, protection for the head was weak, and for the chest it was poor. In the oblique pole test, protection offered to all critical body regions was good, but far side impact tests between front passengers were not done. Whiplash protection was rated as good for front and rear-seated adult passengers.
All other things being equal, people in larger, heavier cars will fare better in their crashes than people in smaller, lighter cars. In a crash between a small, lightweight car and a heavier one, the smaller car is driven backwards. That means higher forces on the occupants of the smaller car and lower ones on the occupants of the bigger one. The Toyota Yaris gets a good rating in our frontal offset test. In a head-on crash with another mini car at these speeds, it would do well. But as you can see, against the larger and heavier Camry, the occupant compartment basically collapsed. We have buckles in the roof here, and the door sill is bent toward the ground. In a real-world crash like this, the driver of the Yaris would sustain serious injuries. By comparison, the driver of the Camry would fare much better.
Did you know that in 2018, ANCAP and Euro NCAP aligned their testing and safety rating criteria? Suzuki Australia informed ANCAP that the safety specification of 2024 Swifts sold in Australia and New Zealand differed from those sold in Europe. And when put to the test, the Australasian Swift's physical crash protection performance was alarming. It earned a 1-star safety rating, far worse than the 3-star rating given to the European model. What went wrong? ANCAP noted that it seems that the structural elements and restraints in the Australasian Swifts lacked robustness. And the child occupant protection score? A shocking 59%, which according to ANCAP was one of the lowest seen at the time. Despite the Swift having 6 airbags, its poor crash test results, coupled with the increased risk of severe injuries inherent in crashes between small and large vehicles, makes the Swift too much of a risk for me. So, there you have it. In the absence of a regional NCAP assessment, specifically for the emerging markets of India, Latin America, and Africa, Swifts sold in these countries are at best 1-star ANCAP and Euro NCAP crash-rated vehicles. I would wait for the crash test results for the Swift from my relevant NCAP before buying one, or I would buy a vehicle that was so rated and has at least a 4-star vehicle safety rating.